Welcome to Just Say This, the place to get all the help you need for the Birds and Bees Talks. I'm your host, Amy Lang. Just a quick reminder, this show is for grown-ups because I'll be swearing. There'll be lots of swears, and then I'll also be talking about grown-up sex. I can guarantee that your kids do not want to listen to this, and they really don't want to listen to it with you. You've been warned. Do you have a question for me? Please give me a call. The phone number is 206-926-1522, 206-926-1522, and I will answer on the show. And if you have a funny sex talk story, please call in those as well. 206-926-1522. Thanks. Hello, how's it going? Here I am. It's episode 180, which seems crazy to me that I've done 180 episodes. So thanks so much for listening and sharing if you've done that. I totally appreciate it. As you know, social media is a big part of everybody's life. If you've missed that, then count your blessings because it's kind of a shit show. Anyway, if you follow me, I'm Birds, Bees, Kids on, I think, everything. And one of the things I do in my Instagram feed is I basically cut and paste a lot of things because I'm lazy and also people are smarter than me. Anyway, I just wanted to share a post by someone named Uju Anya. It's Ujuanya, and Women's Rights News. It's Women's Rights _news posted this, and I thought it was such a good way to counteract the situation with drag queens and queer folks infecting children with their queerness. And she said, I'm going to say they said, most gay people were born to heterosexual parents in heterosexual relationships. We live in heteronormative society surrounded, dominated by heterosexuality. If sexual orientation can be influenced by mere contact or proximity, why y'all straight people raising all these gays? Brilliant, don't you think? I think that's just fucking brilliant. We need ways to talk to people about this bullshit that's going on in all kinds of communities that's making things so unsafe for LGBTQ plus human beings and kids in particular. Anyway, so try that out when somebody is spouting off about gays and the things that they're doing by just existing in the world. Anyway, Women's Rights _news has lots of great stuff, and so does that brilliant person, Uju Anya, that just posted that. Anyway, you can go find it on my thread, and I'm not actually plugging my Instagram account, just that thing. And there's some other ones, too, that are really good that I found. Also, funny pictures of things that people made mistakes about doing, like the orgasmic blueberries. Anyway, what do we got? Okay, let's get on with the questions.
Hi, Amy. I have a daughter that is 9 years old, and my question is regarding her, the way she presents herself, if she's going to wear makeup or not wear makeup, how much of her skin she's going to cover up and what she's going to let show. I want her to do what she wants, but I also want to make sure that I instill values so that she respects herself and also doesn't develop some kind of complex where she needs validation or attention from men or seeks that with kind of like sexuality. That is a me thing. Like I think I'd do that. So I just don't want to screw her up. I don't want to pass that down to her. And I just don't know where to start because I want her to know that she's awesome, but also I don't like it when she's wearing a lot of makeup at 9 years old and she looks older than she is. Not because I don't trust her, but because I don't trust, the other curves in the world. So I could just use some guidance along those lines. Thank you.
Ooh, your 9-year-old daughter. I can totally understand why this is making you anxious and that you're worried about her, how she's showing up in the world, and also how your crapola around this attention seeking from men and that kind of thing can make you really anxious. And I understand you don't want to pass that down to your kiddo. And I think this is something that lots and lots of parents of people who identify as girls worry about. And I do want to say that usually this kind of stuff you're talking about, the makeup and all that, it sounds like your daughter is wearing makeup and maybe wearing clothes that you feel are a little teenagery or too mature for her. So I do have to say, if that's the case and she's going out in the world like that, I got a little judgment. And so I can't pretend like I don't. So this is what I highly recommend that you do. First of all, if she wants to wear makeup and dress like that, or however she's dressing, that is for at home and not out in public. Now, maybe she's not going out in public like that. It's really normal for kids at 9, 10, to experiment with makeup and that kind of thing and start to kind of explore who they are and how they want to show up in the world, even in a way that is sort of, I don't want to say sexual, but let's just say teenagery, grown-up-y, because I do not want to use that word in association with a 9-year-old. Anyway, so first of all, this is clearly making you really uncomfortable, and it sounds like you might be allowing it. So what I would have you do is say to her, you know what? I kind of made a mistake here. You really are too young for wearing makeup out in the world. So we're going to change the rule, which is that you need to wait until I'm going for middle school. That's my value around this. Wait until you're in middle school before you start wearing makeup. So I shouldn't, I made a mistake. You're too young to wear makeup out in public, but here's the deal. It's fine for you to practice and wear makeup at home and figure all that out for what you want to do when you're later when you're older. So make that stop. Now, she may pitch a fit. She may say why. She may, break the rules and take her lipstick to school or whatever she's doing. So if that's the case, if she has a fit about it, just say, again, I made a mistake. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it's not safe for little girls to look like teenagers because people will might make decisions about them that aren't safe and are not okay. So sorry about that. It's got to stop. Why don't we go buy you some new whatever to play around with at home? Okay, so you're just going to redirect that. With the clothing, this is always so complicated. But again, with a 9-year-old, no 9-year-old should be wearing anything that really could be interpreted as in any way sexual. So I say that. And as I'm saying that, I also want to say at the same time, of course, she should be able to wear shorts and little crop tops and that kind of thing. But there are age-appropriate ways to show up like that. And there are ways to show up like that, like wearing a little top that kind of looks like I want to say corsage, and that is not right. A corset, that kind of look. Fucking no, right? So tank tops with string, fine. But just think about, I'd go online with her and I would look at clothes for 9-year-olds and see what was happening out there and then let her pick out a couple of new outfits. So again, anything that is sort of teenagery, she's fine to play dress up at home, right? That's fine. That's where she's safe. Because you are right. You don't want a perv. I haven't heard that word in so long. I'm going to start saying it. I always say creepster. You don't want a perv looking at her and pursuing her and making decisions about her as a 9-year-old that is not okay or safe. And so this is your responsibility. And for those of you who are thinking that I can't even say this, like slut shaming or something, she's a 9-year-old child. So if she were older, if she were 12 or so, and this was happening, then the conversation would be a little bit different. I really highly recommend that you talk to girls about how people perceive them when they are dressed in a certain way, when they are wearing makeup, when they are showing up in a more kind of mature looking way, and talk to them about, people are going to make decisions about you based on what you're wearing. That is just the way of the world. Absolutely, you have every right to wear whatever you want to, and you might have some certain guidelines, right? Whatever you want to. And so why don't we figure out, if somebody, you want to talk about like the signs that somebody might be pursuing them or anything like that. If somebody's hassling them, if somebody makes comments to them about what they're wearing, and how they can respond to that. And I also think that kids, should always have something in their backpack that they can throw on if they're getting a lot of attention that feels uncomfortable to them. Now, I just, again, want to be really clear that I'm a feminist, and I think people should wear whatever they want. And I also think that young people are at risk, right? So what if you have a 12-year-old who looks like a 17-year-old and is dressed like a 17-year-old, and a 20-year-old comes on to them? Your 12-year-old, that's kind of crazy, but a 16-year-old, right, comes on to them. Sorry. Your child doesn't know how to navigate that. And so it could put them in a position of risk. And I know, sweet listener, that might have happened to you. So there's two-sided conversation here. One is with the person who is wearing the clothes that draw attention, and the other is with the person that is attracted to that person, and they should be I'm going to say armed. They should, sorry, I'm like all the wrong words today. They should know that sometimes people will act like they're older than they actually are. And so have them, have some questions that only a teenager would know, like, hey, how's it going with school? What high school you go to? What are your classes? Who are you hanging out with? What kind of music do you like? Like, oftentimes they can tell if somebody's kind of faking it. So anyway, I feel you on this. It's complicated, but the best thing you can do is talk with her about it. And I would highly, highly recommend that you mind your own behavior in front of her. So are you changing your behavior when somebody compliments you, a guy compliments you on how you look? Are you getting all twitchy and flirty and cutesy and really responding to that? Or how are you talking about this? Like, are you saying, oh, I just love it when so-and-so, does this, that, or the other thing? Because she's going to be modeling that. And again, I'm sorry if I sound shamey or whatever. I don't intend to be, but you're the boss of this. You're the boss of all of this. So what I would recommend you do is actually journal a little bit or talk to a good friend about what's going on with her and how you're feeling. And so I'm just looking at my notes here, and, instilling these values of self-respect, that's you. Like, how are you showing up in that way? And talking with her openly about it. I think the book Celebrate Your Body has some really good info about this. And the American Girls book too, which the name is escaping me, of course, in the show notes. So yeah, I think that the end of the day here is please trust your gut. Please trust your gut. This is too much. And if she's been doing this at home, you can still and not out in the world, you can still have these same conversations with her, just tweaked. But it sounds like she's going out in the world like this. So anyway, good luck. You've got this. And I will, there's some other resources for this kind of conversation in the show notes.
Hi, Amy. My question is about an older kid. My 14-year-old son has gotten a little bit into anime, and he's kind of gone through all of the ones that I would say are most introductory appropriate. It's not my favorite form of screen time, but, he's gone through a lot of them. He's still very into them. And he asked me to watch a show with him called Fascination Classroom, which I looked up on the Common Sense Media, and it says it's for 13 and up, and we're watching it, and there's definitely some violence when we're talking about, and there's definitely some sexuality in the way that the women are portrayed, kind of the bumbling, overtly sexual characters, which I'm trying to figure out how to frame for him. And, I know it's not my favorite form of media, but the fact that he's asking to watch it with him, I think maybe he's wanting these conversations. I guess I'm trying to figure out what my question is, how to know when something is age appropriate for an older teen and how to navigate this. Thank you so much.
Let me start by saying that I thought the show was called A Fascination Classroom, which made me think it was going to be full of sexy business. It's not called that. It's called Assassination Classroom, which is full of violent business. How do I know? I sort of skim-watched the first episode. Anyway, so anime. Yeah, anime is really fun, and anime is so full of sexual content. Most parents don't know that because they think, oh, it's Japanese anime. They're doing this, that, and the other thing. It's all fun and cute. But as anime goes on, as people watch more and more anime, it gets more and more mature. So one of the things that happens in anime is the characters that are girls and women, usually girls, the kind of stuff young people are watching, are super sexualized. They're hypersexualized, which kind of reminds me of the call I just answered, right? They're hypersexualized, super short skirts, great big boobies, and so the way they act sometimes is really coy and gross and whatever, stereotypical. So that's one thing you should know. And then oftentimes within the anime, in books and in video, there is a lot of sex and sexual stuff going on, flirting and all the way to, parts and holes. So I think that your concern about this is okay, but one of the, is fine, right? But one of the things that you said is that you checked Common Sense Media. Links in the show notes. Common Sense Media is awesome because it gives a really good, clear-headed idea about what they consider, okay ages to watch almost anything. So I think you're in good stead using that as a guide. Everybody should use that as a guide. Did you go see the Barbie movie? Did you take your 9-year-old to the Barbie movie? The Barbie movie is not for 9-year-olds. Yeah, a lot of it probably went over their head, but it's for growner people, more adult people. Anyway, so Common Sense Media will talk about why that is and, the age appropriate range as far as they're concerned. Of course, it's your kid, it's your choice, it's everybody's, you're going to do what you're going to do. But that is one thing that really bugs me is that people take kids to PG-13 movies that really, they probably shouldn't be watching them. Oftentimes they're full of violence. There may be sexual stuff, which, I'm kind of more okay with. But just things that really aren't okay for kids to see because it can be confusing and scary. And, even frickin' Harry Potter, right? Some of that is terrifying. If I was 8, it would have done me in. Anyway, so I digress. So it is a good thing he wants you to watch this with him and absolutely trust your gut. He's got questions. So what I would do is as you're watching together, this is a really good thing. So as you're watching together, just kind of make some notes of things that stand out in your head. Now, it might be some of the violent stuff. It might be some of the language. It might be just the current storyline. And you can just say to him, hey, that part of a Fascination Classroom, where this thing happened, I felt uncomfortable. I really liked it. I'm just curious about what you think and see what he does with it. Don't expect an answer. So if you say this made me feel uncomfortable because he's going to listen to you and it's going to give him a place to think about things. And I really, again, I can't stress this enough. This is really, really great that he wants to watch this with you. And even though it's kind of weird and kind of maybe even a little boring, you need to hang in there with him. Now, don't abuse your privilege here. I would save those conversations for the things that really make you go, oh God, that was not good. And because you probably want to use your power for good here, like you really want to capitalize on stuff. I would also ask him what else he's watching and just take a little peek or ask him, what other shows he's watched that he really likes and go look at them. For those of you who have kids watching anime, please do this. And the other thing too is that if they're reading books, anime books, just take a look because like I said, there's a lot of sex in there and that can be fine. But if it's violent, if it's rapey, if it's assaulty, then you're going to need to have conversations about that as well. Anyway, can't say enough good things about Common Sense Media. Go check it out. Common Sense is their first name and is absolutely really, really good stuff. And now it's time for a funny story from the Birds and Bees Talk Trenches. If you have a hilarious tale, please give me a call, 206-926-1522, and leave a message because we all want to laugh.
Hi there, Amy. I'm a huge fan of your show. I've just got a bit of a funny sex talk story. I was just getting ready, one morning to get the kids off to school, and my 7-year-old just popped up with, hey, I know a baby's made with an egg and a sperm, but how did the egg and sperm meet? How do they come together? And I kind of thought, oh my God, okay, I guess, if I delay answering this, it makes a big deal out of it. So I spit out my toothpaste and I put my big girl panties on, and I was just like, okay, well, two people who like each other, hug and kiss. They might then take their clothes off, and if they're canoodling so much that they want to, the penis goes inside the vagina. This is how the egg and sperm meet, and this is how babies are traditionally made. And it's only for adults, and, people also just do that for fun. And she looked horrified and said, so you and Daddy did that twice? I'm really sorry I asked the question, and walked away. And that was months ago, and she has asked nothing since. So I think she maybe bit off more than she could chew at that time. But yeah, I was really glad I did it, and I have your show to thank for that. So keep up the good work.
That's it for this week. Thanks to everyone who's been calling in. The number's 206-926-1522, so please leave me a message if you have a question or a tale from the trenches. And thank you to Melanie Smith, my producer, and to Rolf, who wrote the Birds and Bees and Kids theme song.